Are you able to hear me? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I welcome you all for this doHow Performance Excellence Platform launch. What is this doHow PEP as we call it? It is basically a culmination of all the 30 plus years of Dinkar's experience as a working professional in Bosch and close to about 10 years of our experiences in consulting and looking and understanding the challenges of the industry as well as various people who are around. So all this has been put together, all our learnings, and now over to Dinkar for presenting it, all this, what has been come out, how it can be made used by all of you, and just to show it, and without stealing the thunder, over to you, Dinkar.
So first of all, thanks a lot to all of you for joining on time. And thanks a lot to Vivek and Sagar for helping with the organization. It's really good. And my idea was basically to share this a dream of mine with all of you and then gather support because I believe there is a huge opportunity. But this opportunity is huge at the same time, extremely complex. It's not something which is easy to master. So therefore, it's important that we have more like-minded people supporting, helping this idea. So with that brief, let me share my presentation. I would take maybe about 40 minutes approximately for presenting and demonstrating, and after that we can have Q&A. In between too, if any of you want to interrupt and ask a question or comment, please feel free. There is no real formal, what should I say, process here or a protocol. So with that, let me share my presentation first, and then after that, talk about doHow. Is my screen visible already built up?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, super. So I'll start with the background a little before getting into doHow, PEP, or whatever we call it as. I will start with my experiences, which have been a great learning platform for me. The first was a failed attempt to create a self-learning Android app in 2016. This was mainly because I've seen that. Why did I think of doing this? Maybe a little background to that. Having had the opportunity to lead people in various countries with various backgrounds. You know, when I say countries, Brazil first, and then Germany, and then India. I had the opportunity of constantly working with them. And in this whole process, I realized that the people are people throughout the world. All of us are human beings. In terms of the performance, I thought that the effectiveness of my reportees in Germany was the best. And then came the ones in India and Brazil. Brazil may be slightly better because of the European influence there, and then India. The main difference was that in the case of Germany, they are also emotional, extremely emotional people. But they have learned the art of hiding their emotions and focusing on the end outcome because they have come to work and that is what they need to do. And so that's something which is very important. And therefore, the general focus on what they need to do and what they need to achieve is quite high. And in Brazil also, to some extent, that is true. In the Indian case, since we are quite emotionally driven and quite people-centric, normally it is quite common that we many a times in meetings tell that we are going to do the job and then later not end up doing it. And this phenomenon was not very strong in Germany. And at the same time, when you look at the organization as such, in Germany, a lot of things are very transparent. You know, there is no question of ambiguity in what you do and what is told. And therefore, I thought if we can create people who at least have the awareness of these unambiguous standards which one can define, and therefore one could possibly create the same kind of an excellence in the Indian companies too. Just to give an example, when it comes to overspeeding, in Germany, there is a very clear rule saying that if you are overspeeding on a autobahn is like our motorways in India, then the the tolerance for the overspeeding is different than what you have in the city. There is a tolerance. That means your cameras can be wrong. They've been having cameras for now decades, mechanical ones though, not digital ones. And the tolerances were different. In India, wherever you go, the other day I paid quite a good amount of money for overspeeding. It was 80 and then I was driving at 85. Now, the question is, we have a rule and the rule has to be implemented. I totally agree. But whereas the understanding of the practicality of the way you implement the rule and the rule itself may not be very akin to normal day-to-day working. And therefore, many a times, I felt that the rules which are done are not implementable. Therefore, it is not controllable also. Since it is not controllable and implementable, then one would get into a situation where you have a standard, you have a lot of documents, a lot of standards being created, but not getting implemented. And this again is something which I speak from experience, talking and getting companies to implement standards. Where standards are written, but they're not implemented. You know, one recent example was where one company wanted to reduce the damage and dent damage and scratch, a defect which is caused by everybody in the organization. So there, through our interactive working, we could reduce it significantly. In fact, 80% in about 3 months' time. And this reduction resulted in a phenomenal energy within the team. And it involved close to about 100 people trying to follow a standard. So how do you implement a standard, follow a standard? All these things were thoughts which I had. Therefore, I thought I'll create a self-learning app to do this. That was a failure. Then I accidentally bumped upon a methodology which I call as the inspirational persuasion gamification in 2017 for getting large teams. In this case, the large team, when I say I'm talking about 100 people, getting excited to follow a particular passion with a common understanding, so that the outcome was phenomenal. This is again in a large multinational company. And from then on, we have been doing this gamification quite regularly in our assignments. Then came another failed attempt of creating or wanting to create an alliance. So I thought, look, there are a lot of like-minded trainers and consultants. Instead of each one of us trying to get a piece of the cake, let us try, see if we can get more cakes, and then all of us get more pieces of the cake. That really didn't work out. And I learned as to what are the triggers there, because each one of us are not having excess market, excess order pipeline to be able to share with others. So there is always a tendency of trying to see in what way I can leverage this group or platform or alliance for getting the orders or getting my business improved. And at the same time, there was a lack of platform for us to collaborate at that time. So that's the learning which I had. Then I started doing live videos on various excellence topics in 2019, development of multiple assessment tools, because in any company which we have gone to, the most common problem is not having a common understanding. When I say not having a common understanding, each of the employee in that company, be it a top leader or a working level employee, are doing their best to succeed. They are doing their best in the interest of the company. But their best in the interest of the company is not necessarily the same. Since it is not same, many a times they are working loggerheads. And this working of way of working in loggerheads results in people perceiving that there are department silos. The silos exist because there is no common understanding. So for that, we developed multiple assessment tools to make sure that people can develop common understanding very quickly. Then was the next adventure of developing Zoho Creator Apps, the Creator Apps in 2021, which is the platform which I've used for doHow PEP. And the first initiative was to do the doHow app in 2020 with 22 with guided modules, and then the doHow workbook in 2023, again in Zoho Creator. Then I got very excited. I said, look, we have got a platform. Let us now try to see if we can offer mentoring programs to aspiring individuals. See, in the micro, small industries and the medium industries, there is an intrinsic fear that if you train somebody, they'll leave and go. So therefore, the investment done in training is not much at all. And their idea was, instead of the owner or the company management investing in the training, let the individual only invest in training through some very nominal charges. And we get the seniors who want to mentor, who want to create an impact in the society to help them become more effective in their roles. That's something which I did. And after that, very quickly realized that whatever I've been talking about is something which is Greek and Latin people don't understand. Therefore, I authored the book, The Prosperity doHow, in May 2024. At the end of this session, I think, Ajit, you will come back, right, after your HR call? Ajit, are you there or you already left for the call? Okay.
No, I'm there. I will
You'll come back
here.
or?
Yeah, I'll come back.
So at the end of the session, I will ask Ajit to talk about what he has felt reading this book. He has read some couple of pages. And so that's something which I did so that we can at least spread the word. But then finally, today we are talking about PEP Performance Excellence Platform. This entire journey has been a journey of ups and downs. At each stage, learning something which kept on adding to the wisdom of creating this platform. With this brief introduction of the background, let me now go to the, what should I say, the main topic. Why do we have to have PEP? That is the first question which anybody has. What is PEP? Is Performance Excellence Platform. Like I explained here, Performance Excellence Platform stands for PEP. doHow is the methodology which I have developed, doHow PEP. Now, in EFQM, I'm familiar with a model called as EFQM, which stands for European Foundation for Quality Management. And the pictorial which you see in the center is the description of the model. This model is developed after conducting research in many companies who have thrived for centuries, both in Europe and abroad. Abroad means Americas, India, because they've also looked at what Tatas have done, what Godrej has done, what Aditya Birla Group has done, and many companies, Reliance. They've tried to understand these companies, and then based on that, they developed a model with good practices in these companies. And these good practices are put together and then they are called as a model. They have been sorted out, and the good practices are sorted out in 3 areas. One is direction. That means these companies set a clear direction. When I say direction, unambiguous direction with a common shared purpose. That's something which is very important to understand, a common shared purpose. And for that, create a culture and then execute it in the most efficient way, where you are constantly in touch with the stakeholders and you are creating consistent, significant value to all the stakeholders, and you're also driving performance and transformation. That has been the core DNA of these companies. And based on that, then they look at the results. Results are on one side the key performance indicators, which are basically what we use in various management review meetings or board meetings. And then the perception indicators, where we are trying to get the pulse of the respective stakeholder. Stakeholder means 5 stakeholders basically is what this model talks about. First is employees, customer, then shareholders or the management, partners, business partners, and society. So for these 5 stakeholders. And this model is having a core, what should I say, principle, which is on which the entire model is built, on which the entire good practices are built. This core practice they call as radar. Radar for result. That means to first of all start with result. What is it that you want to achieve? Then for achieving that result, develop the approaches and then deploy those approaches. That means perform those approaches. Then assess the reality wherever you are today. And based on that, refine. This is the simple continuous cycle, which you can also call as the plan, do, check, act, which was developed by Deming some couple of decades back in Japan. So now I took the radar model to understand where do we stand today. First, let me start with the result. What is the result that I'm looking at, or all of us are looking at, is to create an increase in the manufacturing share of GDP. Why is it required? Because if you look at the entire economy in India, the biggest employer in India is the manufacturing sector, after the agriculture sector. And in the manufacturing sector, there is a good amount of value creation and also job creation. Therefore, if the manufacturing sector GDP increases in the share of Indian GDP, then the country would be a developed country. Our Prime Minister keeps talking about Viksit Bharat. Viksit Bharat, if you see and you compare with the other Viksit countries like Germany, South Korea, even China, then all the European countries, USA, Canada, there the share of the manufacturing in their GDP is very, very high. Even in America, it is high, higher than in India. So this high manufacturing share of GDP is the primary growth for an economy. Therefore, it is important that India also does the same thing. So we want to grow to 25%. This has been our vision, dream for a long time now. And the blue line here shows you what has been our share, actual share of manufacturing share of GDP at current prices for the last so many years, from 95 onwards, almost 30 years. Earlier to that, it was a little around 16%, 16, 17%, but more or less it has remained at the same level. And now if you see, we have been tapering down. We can say, okay, we are doing a great job in service industry. Okay, great, absolutely fine. The jobs are created, people are employed. But the question is that something where you can retire? Imagine working in Swiggy as a employee, delivering the food, and imagining retiring in Swiggy as a delivery boy. Or imagine working in Dunzo to take parcels from one location to another. These are all the new economy, Flipkart, delivery. So is it the place where you can retire? In a manufacturing company, you can join a company and retire in that company because there is a huge potential for growth. One is on the financial side. The second is as an individual also you can grow throughout the entire life and you retire in that company. I am this year doing assessment of L&T. L&T is one company where people join to retire, like Bosch. Godrej is another company where they join to retire. Tata is another company where they join to retire. It's not about just staying there for some time. Therefore, this increase in manufacturing share of GDP is a must. Today, we are at around 14% this year, current prices. At the constant prices, we are at 17%. Constant prices is a wrong indicator because in constant prices, you are not considering the inflation on one side, and on the other side, you are not considering the cost reduction in manufacturing. So therefore, if the product was costing more at that particular time, of a moment of time, and the inflation remained the same, naturally, with a reduced output also, you would get the same increased percentage share, which is a wrong indication of the manufacturing share. The correct one is to do it at current prices, where you are on one side accompanying inflation, on the other side the actual cost of the product which you are manufacturing. So this is something which is very, what should I say, really opening my mind, and at the same time is quite depressing to me because you look at it, we have been putting so much effort and nothing much has happened. Therefore, I believe that we need an excellence revolution in India. Why excellence revolution in India? Because in manufacturing, the most important thing is to be able to deliver 100% on time in full with zero defect at the most affordable cost. So it's a combination of delivery, which involves a lot of people in the supply chain, quality, which involves a lot of engineering along the entire supply chain, cost, which involves a lot of innovation along the entire supply chain. So it's a combination of everything. Therefore, excellence is something which is going to take us there. That is the first topic on the result. Now, let me come to the topic of approach. What all approaches have we had in our country so far? One is you have got the credit-linked capital subsidy, dedicated freight car. I don't want to read this. You can go through that. What is important is the government has been doing a lot of activity, a lot of initiatives to improve the situation of the manufacturing sector. At the same time, the companies also are putting in their efforts. There are a lot of consultants who are helping companies to improve. For example, there is this lean manufacturing competitiveness scheme where a company can enroll a lean consultant, get subsidy from the government, work on their improvement. What has happened now? Let us see. These are the approaches which the government has taken. You can also see in the same slide when I reduce it. Otherwise, later you can ask me. I'll show you too once again. In terms of deployment, first is the approaches are communicated through trade associations mainly. That means the government representatives for the MSME would come to the trade associations and explain to them. And the promotion has been sluggish on the awareness in to the target market. It has not been something so aggressive. And some of these approaches use technology, but it is important to note that always intermediaries are necessary. And I'm sure you can assume why intermediaries are necessary, which is very unfortunate. The experts and consultants are qualified with extremely minimal expertise. Recently, I know that there is this Atal mentor scheme, Atal Innovation Mentorship Scheme. And there are guys who have done just 2 years experience. They have had absolutely no expertise in starting up a company, no expertise in ramping up growth or increasing profitability or ensuring employee engagement, no experience at all. All of these guys have been impaneled there. Or the lean consultants also. I have a client who wanted to engage a lean consultant, and I helped the lean consultant to help this company perform better. So it's really quite strange. But on the other hand, government says that, look, there are a lot of people who are to be employed, so somehow get him the job and he will do it. In my opinion, it is correct to encourage somebody to do a job, but at the same time, it is the responsibility of the manager or the leader or the government to ensure that the guy is fully equipped and qualified. If he is not qualified, then there is no place for that. Merit is something which is extremely important. Right now, we talk about the caste census going on, and somebody talking about the reservations to be done in government agencies for various caste categories or various underprivileged categories in very, very critical jobs. And yesterday I was listening to a very strong debate that in critical functions in the government, there absolutely cannot be any reservation. It can only be based on merit. Now, this is the way, and it's true also, because on the populist side, it is important to recognize people who have not been taken care of so far. But that by giving subsidies, in my opinion, is the wrong approach. They should be really working on building schools, enabling them to get the education, enabling them to learn whatever that they want to learn without any spending any money. In fact, they may even be paid to learn, and they may be offered outstanding healthcare facilities, but zero subsidy, zero reservation, and then get them to compete in the open market. And then we are going to get qualified, extremely competent mentors and consultants in the market, in my opinion. Of course, my opinion is not the end, it's just an opinion. And companies use schemes for raising funds rather than becoming more competitive. This is again a very interesting thing. Many of the owners of companies have started a company, and then they're not sure what to do, because there is no continuous improvement activity in most of the companies, and therefore they use schemes to get funds. And the sector skill councils have been formed for all business sectors. This is something which is very interesting for the definition of the various roles in each company. Now, if you look at the that was the deployment, as far as the deployment is concerned. Then let me talk about the assessment of current reality. Where do we stand today? In terms of current reality, I'll take a couple of minutes on this slide. First is, less than 0.5% of large and multinational companies in India have won excellence awards. Excellence awards like the EFQM award or the CII XM award, the Deming Prize, or the Golden Peacock award, whatever be the award. Here companies are there. One of the companies, of course, Bosch, where I come from. And 7% of these have embarked on the excellence journey, approximately. That's the ratio I've seen so far. And 0.2% of small and medium enterprises have been certified for the Z gold level. Z is another scheme which government launched for encouraging Indian companies to become competitive on a global market. And 15% have embarked on Z journey. Again, it is very, very small if you see. And here again, it's only to make sure that I get a certificate, through that I get some order from the Defense Department or wherever government is ordering to be able to qualify on the GEM portal. Then basic daily excellence practices. This is something which is very, very hurting to me. I'm not sure how you see this when you go to companies and talk to companies. Basic daily excellence practices. Jishu Hosen, which is autonomous maintenance, me maintaining my machine. It's a standard practice in any of the excellence companies. Any world-class company, it's a standard practice. Visual management, standard practice. Real-time performance monitoring for OE capture. Many companies have invested in IoT, but the bloody IoT systems don't work because they are camouflaged, they are really cannibalized, and you don't have any real-time performance monitoring. Rolling planning to really cater to the variations in the demand and to cater to giving some constancy for operations. Daily work management. This is a pathetic situation. Most of the companies don't have daily work management. Audits. Audit is a big issue for all the companies which are struggling. Audit will throw out where you are not good at, and it's the best option, best possibility for correcting something before a disaster happens. Kaizen, again, missing in most of the companies, even the companies which adopted lean. Kaizen is continuous improvement. I remember in Brazil, where we introduced Kaizen based on the Toyota model, we were getting almost 2 suggestions per employee per week. It's possible. People want to give a suggestion. You need to have and not only give a suggestion, to implement it. in our Bosch plant where I was heading in Jaipur. The ideas were phenomenal. The guys would go to the scrapyard, pick up scrap items, and then make wonders out of that. Our workforce is extremely competent, but most of the companies don't have any scheme. And even if they have a scheme, that is totally linked to, let us say, somebody getting some benefit, some preferences, some so things of that kind, which really totally dilutes the scheme, and there is no focus on that. I had gone to one company about 1 year back, and they were manufacturing as a contract manufacturer for a shoe company. And then I was asking them, he said, sir, sir, we cannot do any improvement because nobody have been used to doing any improvement. Any change means they'll resist. I said, how is it possible? 30 years you have been there and he was not profitable. And how do you make it profitable? Continuous improvement is the key to stay in the business. And this is something which is not internalized. Training is again a rare thing. Nobody do that, which is missing in most of the manufacturing companies in India. Unfortunate reality. Based on the contract manufacturing companies, most of these companies aspire to grow with poor zero defect on time and full delivery. This is the key for a contract manufacturing company. Zero defect on time and full delivery is the only path for growth. There is no other way. I have got clients. We have got clients who grow only because of that. Zero defect on time and full delivery performance. They don't have any marketing team. They don't have any sales team, but the growth happens continuously, significant growth year on year. And as per and on the other hand, as per the LinkedIn search, I search for excellence and lean. There are 37,000 professionals. Quite good it is, right? Fantastic it is. And in terms of the registered trainers in Skill India portal, 1.5 lakh registered trainers are there. Out of them, 22.17% are certified and 17% are active. You look at it, market has got so much amount of skill in training somebody. But why is it that the companies are not able to implement? Then there is a very low level of digitalization in most of the companies. There is a difference between digitization and digitalization. Let me just clarify this. Digitization is just to take a photo of a document and upload it into a server so that it will be stored as a photo in a server. Digitalization is taking the data in that particular document and entering it into various fields in an application so that this data can be used for analytics. That is digitalization. That is missing in most of the companies. The employability skills training market in India has been phenomenal. What is employability skills? These are the basic skills for doing a job. As an engineer, when I started working in Bosch, the amount of expertise that I used in whatever I had learned in engineering in the regular work was possibly less than 5%. I am 100% sure each one of you have the same experience. It is not about the knowledge which you gained in the college that made you succeed. It's about these employability skills of showing proactivity, creative thinking, critical thinking, teamwork, relationship. So these are all things you can call them as soft skills or whatever. And there again, there are a lot of trainers. But why don't people get trained in those soft skills? Soft skills cannot be trained by going to a seminar or going to a workshop. In fact, one of the large multinational companies in India approached me for a training on making people accountable. And for this training, they wanted to spend a day in a workshop. I said, it's crazy. I said, how can you train somebody to become accountable in one day? I don't want to take that assignment at all. So I'm not sure who did the training for them. But that is the mindset. It's not possible. You need to, it's a culture which has to be developed over time. And here, market-wise, 5,200 crore is there in 2023. This is expected to grow to 13,000 crores in 2032 with 10%, 10.4% CAGR. Now, based on all this, I said, what is the refinement required? Refinement is required is the doHow PEP, where we are talking about three primary ideas. First is there should be a success routine in every company, which would impact the mindset and culture. This success routine is missing in most of the companies. The basic PDCA, establish the common understanding, define an ongoing pledge to the purpose and the rules of the game, regular audit and containment, not because we want to control, mainly because as human beings, all of us are born to make mistakes. So mistakes are 100% prone to happen. So to keep track of that, keep check of that, it is important that somebody audits. And based on the audit, whatever results are coming, do a training, retraining every week. This basic practice is very strong in world-class companies. Toyota, Bosch, Volvo, wherever you go, this process is extremely strong. That's the only thing that we need to implement. Doesn't really... And then have a clear policy deployment and have a clear plan for transformation, for change management. So these three are the bedrock of excellence: core, sustain, and advance. Now, with this introduction as to why PEP, let me now directly jump. Now, I don't need much time to explain because I've given the context and why we are doing this. Then after that comes only some transactional topics. First is the platform doHow PEP involves so many roles, which is visitor first. He's a lowest most role who can visit and log in and visit as a visitor in the which is free. Then there is a self-learner who can learn on his own using modules for self-learning. There are guided modules of self-learning. Can be a participant in a mentoring program or a coaching program. Can be an executive who is using the platform for continuous reporting and continuous improvement. And a coach who is an experienced person who wants to facilitate people, who is basically a very nice person who can facilitate but doesn't have the content to deliver. Then there is an expert who develops the content to deliver, which is what is used by the coach, and a company admin who can manage all these executives. These are the various stakeholders in the doHow PEP. And what is the flow there? It's very simple. You start signing up. First is sign up, and after that buy a license. Right now the license is free because we are launching it, and this will continue to be free for a couple of more months. And after the launch license, then there are modules which can be used for self-learning. And then one can join the program. There are multiple programs which can be joined to for on mentoring. And a session can be conducted during which the session is used for delivering Socratic learning techniques for making sure that people start thinking differently. And again, this is very important to note that our education system has trained us to become good memory experts and not thinkers. So we need more thinkers in this country if you have to really come to a level where we are able to create that excellence wave in the country. And therefore, this session basically focuses on creating a different way of thinking. And then once that is done, then there is a workbook for completing the homework. And there is a master for designing the Socratic learning content. That's all. It's simple it is. Then there are samples, because in the book, the last chapter of the book is a success story. This success story talks about how this app is used and how the company improved using this app. And that success story samples are all indicated in the samples module of the app. So it's very simple. Now, at this stage, do anybody have any question or comment? Otherwise, I'll directly go to the app.
No, Dinakar, one question.
Yeah, please go on. Please go on.
See, you talked about the mindset. Okay,
Yeah.
that is the core problem in SMEs or whatever we said. As a many that is the mindset is the bottleneck for the being excellent.
Correct. Correct.
For example, thinking if you go to SMEs, the first sentence is says, "Sir, SMEs are going to be like this only."
Yeah, correct.
So then, how this mindset can be addressed by this tool? Because this is something, this is something that is a different aspect itself,
Yeah.
See, today we have a lot of, all these schemes, whatever the government you mentioned, trainer, nothing talks about the leadership, nothing talks about the how to change the mind of these owners.
Correct.
It only we are so much bogged down on these tools,
Yeah.
and but to have a mindset to use this positively, what do you think about that?
See, first thing, Satish, I'm sure you also agree that there won't be any single owner who doesn't want to grow, who doesn't want to increase his profit. I have not come across any MSME owner like that.
Correct.
But the problem is the people whom he has been exposed to so far have not been able to deliver that to him because of various constraints. In the case of an MSME, there are a lot of obligations with the employees. So the MSME owner generally cannot fire and hire people. Even though somebody is not performing well, is not having the right mindset and culture, he continues with him because of a long-term relationship and some kind of a debt which the MSME owner feels he has to that person. So what we have observed and what we have done is, in this case, get everybody together, leave the MSME owner aside because owner should not be involved. I pity with the owner because he's not somebody who is.
Sometimes owner himself will be a bottleneck.
No, I don't think so. Owner is a bottleneck because He doesn't see the end of the light and end of the tunnel. He doesn't see that there is a opportunity. Once you explain the opportunity and the potential to the owner, he is going to allow you to experiment. And the second problem that the MSME have is that they cannot pay hefty money in advance unless there is a result available. So like if you see, when you look at any product or a service from the hardware part of it, let us say if you go to get your shoe repaired or go to get your dress dry cleaned, right? Normally what happens, you give the dress to the dry cleaner, they dry clean the dress. Once the job is done, then you pay the money. In the case of a shoe, also the same thing. You get the shoe repaired, then the money is paid. Whereas here we say that, look, I'm a trainer, I'm a specialist, I'm an expert, so I need to work on retainer. So you give me some base money. And I've had sales guys, this is again a big challenge. If any salespeople is there, please pardon me if I'm talking something very candid. See, I've had really lot of salespeople who come to me, lot of digital marketing guys who come to me. I say that you do everything on variable basis. You get me a customer, and whatever the customer pays, I'll pay a share of that to you, a very hefty share of that to you. But I'm not talking about any retainer. I don't want to get into any retainer business, because what you say is something which I already know. Now there, I think the entire market has to be having a model which can demonstrate that, not really go to a level where you are talking about payment in advance. Now, that is the reason why a technology is required, where you can really reduce that cost to such a minimal number that even a MSME owner can pay. See, for example, if I say that the owner has to pay me 5,000 rupees every month for talking to his team of, let us say, 6 people. 6 people, I talk to his team every week once for about 1 hour, or every 2 weeks for about 1 hour, and then get them to do something in the back end. I'll monitor it online without really coming there. So for me, it's earning 5,000 rupees in that hour. Maybe for 2 hours, I got 5,000 rupees. And I tell him that if you improve something, you give me a share of that. I think there, the MSME owner would absolutely have no problem in accepting to such a proposal. That's the main challenge, in my opinion. And then you look at it, it's not about teaching somebody how to deploy the targets, teaching somebody how to make a value stream. It's not about making a value stream. It's not about creating a process document. It's about getting that flow to ask himself, what do I need to do to get out of this situation? The employees won't ask that at all. They are really doing something, same donkey's work continuously, keep doing it and keep blaming that I'm having this problem, I'm having this challenge here, I can't really do this, I can't do that. Instead of that, find a way out. And that's the only thing that we were taught in Bosch, isn't it, Satish? We also had constraints. It's not about blaming the entire system. Try to find a solution. And when we start looking at it like that, automatically solutions emerge. And that's my opinion, Satish.
Okay. Continue, please.
Yeah. So once that is done, so I go to the app. This is the app. Now I log in as a dummy user. So once I log, this is the way a visitor would look at the app. And the visitor cannot do much. Only some main basic things can be done by the visitor. Visitor role. Here, there are some samples. All samples can be seen here. For example, let me take the samples of a sales pitch. Okay. These are all guided modules where one would start talking about what is it. Okay. This is something which is taught in the class. This app basically gets you to practice that. There is no, what should I say, revolutionary content in this. So I've seen you get them to practice 3 times, 4th time, they are really magical because they know how to do it. I'm not teaching them anything. I say, you know everything. I'm only going to get you to practice what it is. This is one example. Then we'll take another case of, let us say, developer report. This is for self-development. Okay. Again, another sample. This person, Geeta, wants to do the practice. What is the competency, collaboration and teamwork she wants to improve. So here, practice active listening during team meetings or discussions, allow each member to express their thoughts and ideas. So based on this, she would try that out, experiment it in the day. End of the day, when listening, it is important to notice the facial expressions expressions and emotions is what is said as a leadership learning practice. Leadership is all about people. Management is all about control systems and processes, etc. While listening, it is useful to note down information so that I can focus on emotions. So this is what her learning was. So this kind of modules have to be practiced by these people regularly every day. And then at the end of 15 days, when I go back again, I will put a chart, I put a scorecard to show how many people have done what kind of activity. And that scorecard I will show you very briefly. This is the, no, not the module, we'll say sample. Sample session report. So here, if I see, let me take this case, for example, here. Now here, I see that everybody have got a result of 4 points. This is a scorecard which shows what activity they have done in the last 2 weeks. If they have not done the activity, then it will be 0. So this had a phenomenal impact with our clients. Whenever you put up this scoreboard, there is a lot of interest saying that, oh, I never knew you. You got such a high score. Because there is somebody who is working in the back end, toiling, but not visible, not somebody who's flamboyant, not somebody who's very vocal, you know. So that person gets the importance and we clap for them. And once that happens, then the others also get motivated. It's a very interesting team dynamics happens. So this score is important. So you basically get them to do an activity so that it is important, visible, they become visible, and that's something which is important. And then goal setting report, for example, multiple samples are there. This is what one can do. Otherwise, the visitor can go to common modules and do time management optimizer, which is to pick up the time management and then say what activities I did last week, what did I do, what was important, what was not important, what was the outcome of that. So let us see how the time management sample looks like. Here, for example, here this person says daily huddle, time management analysis, daily huddle is what they have analyzed. It says last activity, he had planned 6 hours, but actual was 18 hours. It's a recurring activity, daily they have to meet. It's a high activity and high urgency. Here, based on my wisdom, I've given a strategy which gets automatically generated. Think of automizing for consistency and productivity. This strategy is missing. That means the person is doing everything manually. Now the person got an idea to do some improvement so that it can be automated. Automated could be either using technology or it could be using some Kanban boards, Kanban sheets, whatever it is. And once you kindle that fire, my dear ladies and gentlemen, people will go behind that because people want to succeed. I have not come across any individual who is planned or who wants to fail. People want to succeed. So it's only to show the path, that's all. That's what this app does. So this is a visitor. Now I'll go to the main app where I am an admin. So you can see all the modules here. Client modules, which I explained earlier, which is what in the overview. The client modules is basically to sign up and profile batches. Then there are samples, which we saw. Then there are various assessments possible here. Personality assessment. For this, the main source is Ajit. Here I want to say that the idea which I have is, let us say personality assessment is done by Ajit. So anybody who uses this personality assessment for their content delivery would have to pay some money for the app. And portion of that payment, what they do, which I'll explain later, will be going back to Ajit for having designed this. So I want to help experts monetize their content. This is personality assessment, then there is collaborative thinking assessment for this, for which I am the owner. So like this, there are multiple assessments possible. Then there is a possibility of doing anonymous thinking. Like for example, market canvas, market analysis, then leadership analysis. See, for example, here, this is one case which I don't know whether I can show. Yeah. This I can show. This is an assessment which talks about anybody's leadership or management competencies. We did this recently, day before yesterday. So here it tells that this particular gentleman, he assessed for himself, saying that, look, I set simple, this thing says, what is your maturity between 1 and 5? Wherever it is less than 3, it needs improvement. I set simple, clear goals, so everyone knows what they need to do. Okay, he scored himself as 1, very low. Then I set up processes that keep things running smoothly and efficiently. He has set up 1. Now, instead of giving him so much amount of gyan about everything, only talk about these 2, that's all. Now, this one makes it structured, in the sense the person does the assessment and after that you have a chat with him, then only work on these 2. Help him how to do that. Then there is kind of a smile, right? A kind of a relief. And today morning I was with him talking about this. It's really phenomenal. So this kind of assessments can be done, and there are a lot of modules which can be used, like I showed you earlier, developer module in the sample, and then there are modules for sustain. Sustain is the policy deployment, and here various modules on strategy detailing, on KPI listing, KPI directory, then rolling planning. Then after that, how do you do a rolling plan? All that is possible here. Then we can define a program. Program basically is something which defines multiple modules to be delivered for a particular client. And then for each module, one session is one module. And for that, you need to plan a session. That session can be defined here. I'll just show. Because this is a recent one, there are not many, for example, here, stakeholder analysis is a session which I have done. Okay, this is a session which I have done. This is a demo which I have done for the sake of showing it in the app. But the same kind of a thing was being done in the doHow app. If you remember, I said that we did the doHow app in 2022, and in that app more modules are there. I am not logged on to that, so I am only showing here. Then the workbook is something which is very important. Once it is done, now I will show you the workbook of this gentleman whom I did recently. So for him, this is a job which he has to do. Routine topic, daily team review has to be done. Routine of enter the feelings and the outcome of the daily review. That's all he has to do. This is daily work management. See, these are small things which are not done at all. And then there are multiple things can be fed in here. Not, all these are not required because it's not part of his homework. Now, once that is done, then the master is somewhere where all the content gets created. Multiple ways of creating the content. So at this point, I'll close this and get back to the presentation. I'll continue two more
Just a
slides
minute,
and I'm done.
Dinakar. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions or anything you have on the app to begin with? Anybody? What Dinakar showed is just a very short brief, but as he showed, there are assessments which you can do of the business. You can do assessment for multiple things: performance, management, leadership, personal. Then there are different modules for strategy deployment. So any questions first? We would like to hear questions or anything further you would like to see in the app.
Yeah, I have a question. So how is the MSME business owner guided through this program? I mean, does he log in and go wherever he wants to go, or there is a specific sequence?
No. See, for any program to happen, there should be a mentor. See,
Right.
if you are doing self-assessment, for self-assessment, there is a very simple thing. You can go to the user manual, access it, and then do a self-assessment. You can do assessment, self-assessment on time management, on goal setting, on all these things one can do. Okay. If there is a transformation required, then it's a program which has to be done. A program will have multiple. We'll just take one example. Like there could be various modules in the program. And these modules in the program are then defined initially based on the assessment which is done by the coach. He has to go to the MSME, understand. And once it is done, then the modules will be delivered. Every 2 weeks, one module will be delivered. Sometimes the same module will be repeated 3 or 4 times till the maturity comes. And in between the modules, the practice activities will be given. There it is basically through the handholding done by a coach or a mentor.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Dinakar,
Yeah,
I have a clarification.
Yeah, please go on.
Is it a modified version of the earlier doHow?
It's an improved version.
Improved version. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Dinakar, one question. Is it possible for individuals in an MSME to develop or because let me rephrase my question. Most people that I know in MSMEs have a common computer terminal.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not that they have their own laptop or their own desktop.
Correct.
And therefore, would they be able to create their own user logins and manage their privacy?
Yeah. So what happens is, normally in the smaller companies, they don't use the laptop at all. They use the mobile phone. So all of them have smartphones. So this particular app can be downloaded on the smartphone also. And once it is downloaded on the smartphone, then they can use the smartphone. There is a specific app to download this entire module onto the smartphone. Oh, it is not possible. I can't show it to you here.
And
I
in
can
fact,
only-
we have
That
done
answers
this
the
with
question.
multiple companies.
So they
Where-
download it. We just hold on, Vivek. They download it onto their smartphone. It looks something similar to this. We just give you a very brief idea as to how it looks like. So it looks something like this, where it is downloaded onto the smartphone. And in the smartphone, all the modules are all described here. For example, I take the case of, let us take the case of common modules. We'll just take one example of common modules. Where is it gone? We'll take the case of goal setting, for example. And then now I need to reduce it to a smaller size and refresh the window so that it gets adjusted. In mobile, all this is not required. Now it looks more or less like this. Now I have to choose the username. I don't need to, the user will not choose because I am an admin, I can choose a username. Then once it is done, I need to define what is the client type. Is it an individual, team or company? I say it's an individual. So now this entire thing comes up like this: self-esteem, what is the current reality description, etc. I need to fill up this, okay, and then submit it. So this is the way it works for on a mobile device. And with these companies, wherever we have worked, each employee, we give him the separate login ID. Everybody gets a different login ID. And then they log on to the mobile device, through their mobile device. Yeah, Vivek, you wanted to add on something.
One more thing which is very unique in these smaller companies, as Naresh pointed out, that many times people do audit, right? That they have to go on the shop floor and do audits. So possibly they have to go, they can do that audit on a computer. They have to go with a sheet and check it. These small companies, the engineers or the person who was auditing used to go with his mobile in the game bar, along with the team, do the audit, say what is activity needs to be done, who is responsible, by when he will complete, and in that audit itself, everything is completed and the automated results gets emailed to everybody at that same very instant. That is the power of this entire doHow. The power of doHow performance excellence platform is not just filling in. The moment you do a workshop or some training session or certain consulting assignments, you work through them, they fill in all the data, and at that very moment, along with the homework and everything else, the report gets sent to everybody. So
See,
you don't have to really go and prepare for your things, do a survey, audit, and send PPT presentations, mail it to everybody. Nothing of that sort.
So here I'll show you something which we used. I can't show you the company, neither the results of the company. If anybody wants to know, please call up Vivek or me or Sagar, Vivin personally, and we will share that with you, not in this public domain. So here the company had to do a action. So we said we do the workshop. Okay, this time the workshop would be all of you go to the shop floor, do an audit and come back. So everybody have it in their mobile app. It's downloaded in an app. And then they take the standard. What kind of a standard are they looking at? Okay, now I want to look at a 5S checklist. Okay, checklist including 5S. This is what the checklist is all about. So now, once I've selected that, I need to define what is the standard description. How is it described? Then take a photo of the standard. In the mobile camera is there, so you can just take the photo of that. Then after that, define whether the current process is robust or not. See, because if the process and procedure is not robust, there is no point in making a standard. If there is so much amount of variation, then the standard should not be made. Now imagine it is okay. Then after that, they say, what are the key success factors in preparing the standard? What all did they do? Was it based on benchmarking? Was it clear and unambiguous? Continual improvement was done? Or quick look, what all they did? Okay. This is all explained in the classroom. They go to the shop floor, do this, and then they find out what are all the factors in following the standard. I interview with those people. Why am I doing the standard? See, first most important is service mindset. I need to follow a standard because I have a service mindset. If I want to do something for myself, then I don't need to follow anything at all. The same way as it happens in roads, right? Somebody was telling me in the foreign countries, there is what is called as right of way. In India, only right of way is me first. Okay, so there is nothing like I'm not doing for anybody else. I'm doing for me, that's all. Then the standard cannot be followed, will not be followed. And the next is aspirational purpose. I want to do something fantastic. If I want to really achieve exceptional OEE, then I need to follow standard. Everybody need to follow standards. Only then will it be done. Like the case of Formula One, where the world record stands at less than 2 seconds to really change all the 4 tires, and their standards are pakka. They have to follow the standard. Like this, they basically check interviews with the people, explain to them, and after that find out. Then they come back saying that, look, our problem was that we didn't do handholding on challenges to follow the standard. And this entire thing happens in 2 hours, and then they do the key learning, whatever learning they upload it. Once they have uploaded it, this particular activity which they did reflects in their score, so they get a higher score. And when they meet again after 2 weeks, we go through the information which they have given. It's not our finding, and then there is a recap. So whatever I learned, whatever I recognized is again recapped, and it is recognized as my wisdom. You have done it. So therefore, there is a kind of a pride in telling that I have learned something, and that's something which holds on for a longer time. Yeah. That's all. I think I went on a little longer.
This is where they start practicing what they learned by doing, understanding, going in the game bar, learning from them. And in the same time, they are communicating with all other people who are not there, hence aiding in their entire way what needs to be done. This is highly inclusive.
And in the case of MSME, Naresh, like you said, one is a problem with the terminal. Second problem is MSME guy cannot send everybody to the training program. He can possibly send 1 or 2, that's all. So even that 1 or 2, though we are even charging them very less, we are able to deliver phenomenal outcome because he's in discussion with everybody to fill up these things. So others also are getting the knowledge without any effort from our side.
Sorry for...
Yeah, please go on. Somebody else wanted to ask a question.
No, I have 2 more points.
Yeah, please go on.
They may appear to be negative at this point in time, but it's genuinely I'm trying to understand whether this platform can address or does address those issues or not. Whenever you talk about Kaizens or any assessments and practice this, in most MSMEs, the practices and the processes are actually set by the proprietor at a given point in time. And most people are, typically just following that with a little bit of tweak, or most of the time it's like this. And when you talk to them about changing the processes, they say, oh, we can't change it. We'll have to talk to the boss. So I also heard you saying that, look, you try to keep the owner proprietor out of this particular discussion. So then my only question is, how does that employee or those managers get that confidence that, okay, they are empowered enough to make those changes and the owner is not going to question them critically as to like, why did you make this change without checking with me or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah, so there, Naresh, the role of the coach or the person who is facilitating is a very important one, because the responsibility of the coach is also to stay in constant touch with the owner, to give him the assurance that this change will not cause any damage. There are cases where it is a go-no-go situation. For example, with many companies, the decision to define a price is only done by the owner. Nobody else can do that, right? The sales guy says that, look, if I had the opportunity of deciding the price, I could have got more orders. And there we tell him that you develop the ability to sell at a higher price. Then I am going to talk to the owner to go back and tell him. That's my job as a coach. That's what I would tell the sales guy. The owner is telling you that this particular product has a higher value. Therefore, I'll give you this price. You go and sell it. Now, the sales guy comes to me and says that, look, I am going to sell it at a lower price. Therefore, I had to have the opportunity to fix the price. Therefore, I could get the order. I said, no, that's not acceptable. So there, I think the coach who is facilitating this entire program has to play a big role, number one. Number two, the owners also are okay to change as long as they see that there is a benefit in what you are asking them to change. And there again, the coach is the main person who has to play the mediation role, is what I have done. Okay.
Right. Can I continue with one more question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. The second concern which I had was in terms of understanding the language and the vocabulary. So while I understand the business excellence, the semantics of English language are quite well articulated in the business excellence language. But most of these MSMEs, they are not that well versed in English itself. I see, because my interactions with them, they basically either converse in the local language or maybe a smattering of English, but they are not very comfortable in expressing themselves in English very, very well. So is there a way to make it more, how should I say, simplified? These cues that you're giving in terms of saying why you're doing it or what you're doing it, because when you're asking them to pick a standard or something like that, because to me those words appear quite complex, and I'm not sure whether they would be able to capture it.
Yeah,
If
so
they have to do it on their own.
Yeah, so let me explain that. I'll go to the session here, or maybe I use the older version, it becomes easier. Now, this is the older version of the app, okay? Not all the data is there in the older version because that's something which we have been using more regularly. So in the older version, see, whenever you do any program, the first part of the program is to talk about some delivery, some content has to be explained, and then the activities will be deployed. And before the deployment of the activities, we can also talk to them and handhold them to find out whether they are comfortable with that or not. So when you start a session, it is quite common to start with some kind of an explanation. I'll take the same thing. Oh, I think the session is over already. So
maybe you can take the daily work management if that works. I don't know. I'm just looked at it.
There are two things, Naresh, that I'm Dinakar searching it. When we have experienced the same thing what you have done. We have done it in a remote place in Maharashtra called Aurangabad, and we have done it in an area where there were a lot of Kannada speaking guys, the junior levels in that MSME.
So here, see, there is a explanation of the basic concepts of planning and the roles of planning simulation. So I basically go to the download link. I download this text. This is available. This is again something which is uploaded by me as a expert. This is the expert content which anybody can upload, and that becomes their content. So when that content is used, they get compensated for that. So once the file is uploaded, then I open that file. I explain to them what planning is. Okay. So this entire explanation is done to them. And after that, we have a debate, discussion, and various ideas are exchanged. And only then, this is the explanation for planning. So only then will the person be sent to the shop floor to do a practical activity. And we also use a lot of simulation apart from the like gamification. For example, recently, what we did was to use Lego building blocks. This is a very recent activity, about a month old, to demonstrate as to what was the importance of line balancing and how do you make sure that the flow is continuous and that everybody is occupied in the right way. So there are multiple tools. That's what I said. When you look at the options which we have got in the app for the various activities, it is quite elaborate, which is we go to July.
Just till Dinakar is searching, I'll talk about one example of a simulation on dent damage and scratches. Now, when we did that entire thing about dent damage and scratches with that small customer, predominantly Kannada speaking guys, there what we did is we gave them a small puff. And the puff.
Vegetable
puffs. Now those puffs are very fragile, and we gave them a box, asked them to pack it and pass it on. And there was one person who was the quality guy who was to define whether it's done or received in good quantity or not.
Right.
And from this, they understood the importance of handling. And then they went ahead and deciding their standards. And they came out very beautiful standards as to how to handle, how to place it, how to use the cartons, and what they will do when transferring internal, what they will do when they are transferring it to the supplier, what they need to do. And that was followed up by these various audits which they were doing it. And these audits or even data entry which these people do is in simple numbers or simple yes or no checklist or simple photos.
Right.
Language doesn't become a barrier here. I hope I have clarified it.
And then these are all the various options, case study, role play, simulation. See, Socratic learning means that you are not teaching any content, but you are only talking about engaging people and providing a platform for people to exchange the thoughts. When you do that, naturally people learn because we are adults. All of us come with a tremendous amount of wisdom. And the second thing is we develop trust between each other because we know the other person. And the third effect, which is also implicit, there is no training for that, is that we naturally start developing a common understanding. I understand you, you understand me, then we develop a common understanding. So it's a combination of various things to really create a, what should I say, kind of a magic in the teamwork. And before I continue, the other point which is equally important is that when when that kind of activity is being done, when in this app, it is also possible for us to do the what is the word for that?
Customization.
Record instead as an audio or as a video or as an image. So they can also record the audio. So if there are cases where they didn't feel comfortable, so they record an audio. मैं ऐसा किया था, इसलिए ये हुआ है, तो थोड़ा मदद मुझे थोड़ा मदद चाहिए, या ये तो बहुत बेहतरीन काम हो रहा है, इधर मैं इससे बात किया, ये बता रहा है कि उसको छुट्टी चाहिए और मैं अभी क्या करूं, whatever it is, he basically records his message instead of typing the message. That is also possible.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now
Just a minute before we get to that, any other people have any other questions?
Yeah, just a quick question. So
Yeah, please
this is for people who are supervisor and above, or it's for
It
everybody?
is for anybody.
Typically the change has to happen at supervisor and above, because the operator is somebody who is executing the job. But there are companies where the operators also are acting as team leaders or captains in the department, where they don't directly have people reporting to them, but they are taking decisions in terms of what to do, when to do, and on quality issues. Then those are also involved. So it's not, see, the qualification is not really a criteria here. The people who use such apps, I've got gardeners using the app, gardeners who have not done any qualification, 6 standard, 7 standard pass they are. And there are people who are PhDs who use the app. And there are people in the manufacturing sector who would have possibly done their 12th standard. And after that, they have only worked without really any education at all. So they also use the app.
Yeah, so I did a lot of these automation projects for manufacturing, and typically, even at supervisor level, they don't like to fill up forms. They would rather talk about it. They do not fill up forms, and even to get in to pitch a project, initially the manufacturing company owners, they want a very detailed cost benefit analysis or ROA model.
Yeah.
So how does it work with your app? I mean, can we demonstrate some kind of a cost benefit?
Yeah, see, cost benefit, it's like this. How are you going to find out what would be the benefit if I get my people to work more effectively? That means they're able to deliver more consistently. How am I going to do the cost benefit analysis? It is difficult. So what we have been able to do is to demonstrate the benefits that our customers have reaped. And then using this methodology, okay, not just the app is one part of the entire story. And then based on that, then get them to talk to the old customers to find out what we have done. If you look at the various activities, what we have done, there are quite a few cases of significant change. One-on-one mentoring, where this was in consumer goods area, where gained confidence weekly. That means the person could run on his own without any problem. On time in full delivery from somewhere around 60%, no, 3 times improves was there. Outcome on time in full delivery with 3 times increase in the throughput. Because the improvement is phenomenal, because there is a entire team working. Okay, so I won't be able to quantify that. And then do a ROI calculation before. But in all the cases, we have seen that the investment, whatever they have done, has been paid back within 6 months. In this case, EBITDA got turned around in 2 quarters. Then here, in this case, revenue growth example, 2 years, 2x profitability growth. Year on year, 2x profit, 2 times double profitability growth. In this case, record top line and bottom line during the duration. See here, the challenge was projects were not working fine. So during that year when they did this activity, the inspirational persuasion gamification, for that year they got the record top line and bottom line and the duration of the project the record, the all-time record they hit in terms of top line and bottom line, and the duration of all the review meetings got reduced by 2/3. So the time got saved. So how are you going to quantify the time? With this, the entire organization transformed. You know, they are ready to really go for a new challenge. And we have not gone back to the same unit again, and neither have they engaged any other consultant. So these are the success stories which we can talk about, because it's not about, we are not really teaching them anything. You spoke about automation and entering data. See, when you are entering data, you're trying to control him, right? And the moment you make the guy understand that the data which you are entering is not for your sake, neither are we controlling it, it's for the sake of others. Moment that realization comes, then people will enter data. And of course, there has to be a control. That means a very, very, very thorough, strict audit, whether it is entered or not entered. One can only do that if the data which you are entering is of extreme importance, and that entry activity cannot be avoided. I have a customer with whom I'm working since about now 1 year, where the problem was that they have a ERP and nobody enters data in the ERP. Okay.
Right.
Fantastic ERP, everything available online. Now, it took us about 6 months to make sure that everybody enter everything in ERP. There is no deviation at all now, zero deviation, zero. It's only a question of making sure. And how do you do that? First is to understand what the standard. I showed to Naresh about the standard. And when you define a standard, it's important to really define something which is meaningful. Like I was talking to you about the speeding standard here, or the standard to take a right turn on the road, right? There is a right indicator given, and in the signals now in Bangalore, they have got what is called as the vehicle activated control signal, you know, some fancy stuff from Japan. And there the signal is showing that the right turn is not there, red color is there. Then there is a board which says no right turn, and people take a right turn, and the cop is standing there. He doesn't do anything at all, not a shit at all. So if you have a situation like that, then where is the seriousness going to come? You know, so there is a requirement for the control also. So in this company, 6 months back, whatever we started, it's their levels are excellent, because we have got a very, very intense audit. Every day audit is done, and any change is done. We are not trying to penalize anybody, because my philosophy is all of us are born to make a mistake. Please.
Right.
Listen to me carefully. All of us are born to make a mistake, because we are human beings. Therefore, there is no point in penalizing somebody. We should really have a system where even though I make a mistake, it doesn't go as a mistake to the next person, outside my team. So therefore, once any mistake is done, audit is done, then it is recorded, then we do training again. That's the topic of core, which I spoke to you in the initial part of my presentation, which is the essence of excellence, which is very, very important, this cycle. And this cycle is extremely strong in world-class companies. Very, very strong. Very strong. And this cycle is missing in the small-scale industry. Totally missing. In the morning, there are companies, large world-class companies, where every day in the morning, you either do what is called as somebody calls it as a toolbox meeting, somebody calls it as a safety pledge, somebody calls it as a shift info meeting. And during that meeting, you take a pledge saying that these are all important for us in the organization. Now, imagine a situation where you employ somebody and expect that flow to perform without any problem, as if he was a machine, and don't even tell him what is required once a month. You're only going to him whenever there's a problem. Till that time, the guy is not even spoken to. And that is the state of MSMEs, in my opinion. So we need to really constantly keep repeating this pledge. Apart from doing the pledge, do an audit. When you do the audit, there is a deviation, contain it, correct it immediately, because our belief is people are born to make mistakes. And whatever corrections you have done, containment you have done, put everything together, the maximum area where you had a problem, do a training again. So this cycle is something which is very important. This is extremely helpful, because once you are becoming, what should I say, more focused on the human side of the person, MSMEs do magic.
Just
Yeah, so
add
eventually,
2 points.
Yeah, well, hold on, Vivek, hold on. Yeah.
yeah, so eventually we got over it by automating the data collection from the machine, etc.
That's also another possibility.
And even in some process automation I did for IT companies, we reduced the manual component as far as possible.
Yeah,
So
that is
cut out
possible. Yeah,
and-
but then because I see there are clients of mine who have invested in very sophisticated IoT systems for data collection. The operators don't want it for whatever reason, and within no time it gets camouflaged. And the very thing doesn't work.
For IoT, the workers don't need to be involved, because we work with those systems.
No, you are working with the systems, but the operators are competent enough in cannibalizing it. Cannibalizing it. I'm not talking about to cannibalize it.
Okay, so for
Because
manufacturing,
the guy is not convinced that it is going to be of any help. I've got a customer.
I agree there.
Yeah.
But then, see, we were sticking to the basics. That is the parameters we're looking at as shorter production cycles,
Yeah, correct.
reduction in defect ratio, less rework, less wastage, higher productivity per employee,
Yeah.
reduced OPEX,
Yeah.
things like that. So
Yeah.
these are very easy to capture without any worker involvement. In fact,
Correct.
in fact, for one machine, I remember the client told us, we had built the machine for them. They told us that we want to know idle time.
Mhm.
So we didn't want to make it obvious also. So we had a simple thing that if your machine is not operated for 20 minutes,
Mhm.
the worker just gets logged out.
Mhm.
And then when he comes back, he just puts his thumbprint and logs in again.
Mhm.
So clearly you can see, what is the productivity of the employee without making it obvious that so these kind of things are very easy to do. I mean, it's more and more
Absolutely.
easy to
Absolutely.
automate a lot of this.
Absolutely. Very true. Very true. No doubt at all. In fact, I was talking to somebody, if they can come up with a software wherein you are using the webcams today. A lot of companies, every company has got a webcam for CCTV, right? Whether the webcam can be used to understand and using the webcam, can it basically analyze the entire video for the day? At the end of the day, identify which machine, how many people, how many hours was the operator near the machine, which
In
material
fact,
did not move.
In fact, it can do much more than that. So there's something called video analytics.
Yeah,
where
correct.
It studies the body language and knows that
Correct.
this person doesn't belong here.
Correct. No,
Or it knows
not
that
body
some
language.
step, or it knows some step has been missed, right?
No, for that you need to really capture the emotions and facial expressions, etc. Right? I'm talking about using the webcam which is put on the roof, near the roof. From the roof, you are constantly looking at all what is happening in the factory. Now, these videos are getting recorded throughout the day. So within no time, terabytes of information is getting saved, and that simply goes away. Nobody is looking at those videos. Can we have a software where
you can, and
this
such
software can generate? So let's touch
sure.
offline, and then we can take it
Sure.
forward.
Points to add to what Vikas said, Dinakar said. First is that when we are implementing the standards at that place where the ERP was there, the golden rule which was followed right from the top to bottom, that everybody will report only through SAP. No other data will be seen. And that helped us to do that. And one more small correction to what Dinakar said is that we have gone and done multiple projects with the people, but we have not gone back to the same project again. But we have done multiple projects with the same company for something else. So that is the power of this entire doHow performance excellence platform.
Okay,
so can you just show them strategy part of it, please? The strategy part of the app.
No, I don't think we're already running.
Just give a 1 second.
Yeah, which strategy you want to show?
Any strategy module or something like that. Of that. Anybody else would like to see any other specific things or anything else? Any other questions?
May I ask a question, please?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, Dinakar, I want to know. In fact, I came out of the meeting for about 25 minutes. There is one company which has purchased another company. Now, the values are different. There are a lot of clashes. They want this problem to be solved. They are having a lot of problem because they are now breaking their head. Why at all did I purchase this company? Can this system help?
Yeah, absolutely. See, you look at it like this. When you are talking about any value system, I don't think the value system would be different. Basic difference would be their way of thinking would be different. Somebody would be more
thinking, approach, working, everything.
That's all would be different. That would be different. And those two approaches can be actually complementary. They should not be contradicting at all. Because imagine somebody being extremely operational and effective, execution focused, and somebody being visionary. Imagine if these two are combined. so that you are able to create, envision new products, and these products you are able to implement it very effectively, then it will be a fantastic combination, isn't it? But
Correct,
the
correct.
problem is, if both are trying to work in both the areas and then trying to do it their way, then there will be a big conflict, because one company is being very, very cost focused and very, very efficiency focused. The other company is very, very emotional focused, effectiveness focused. Then the clash will be very severe.
This I'll just give you in one sentence. One company is into very costly, 1 minute, let me use that term. One is an IT company which is going to monitor. Another is a luxury retail center. So they wanted to combine this, and they are having a big problem.
Yeah, we'll talk about that offline, Ajit. What is
Okay.
important also is that when they combine, see, any merger has to have some benefit to both the parties. So if there is no benefit, then there is no merger. I have had again a learning from a failure of a merger with one of our clients. I was consulting this client for a long time, and after that they wanted to expand. So one of the ideas was to merge with another company, and we had developed that idea. And later the other company came with another set of consultants whom this client of mine felt should be the ones who should take it forward. And then
Okay.
within no time, I came out of that consultancy, and now I still work with this company. Then they came out, break down the merger, and after that they are still doing good. Now I
Good.
still consult them. But there the challenge was the following. See, the benefit for both the parties has to be fair and has to be equitable. That means it's not possible that in the merger I get so much amount of benefit, you don't get anything. Then it will fail. Or you
Correct.
get a lot of benefit, I don't get any benefit, it will fail. So it's important to understand what benefit we are getting and only focus on those benefits. If I am able to amplify your benefit and you are able to amplify my benefit, the collaboration will prosper. The same way as the case with a husband and wife, right? If
Very
each one
good.
is
Yeah.
trying to only pull down the other person, then it'll be a misery. Yeah, so this is the module for strategy detailing, like what Vivek was telling. Here, again, a guided activity where you go one after the other to define the KPI, then define the long KPI description. What is the KPI unit? What is the higher level KPI? And at what speed you monitor this KPI? What speed you report the KPI? What speed do you fulfill? Target fulfillment report. One is, if suppose you are having a target of sales, monthly sales target. So it's absolutely not right that you are able to you are looking at the sale figure once a month. If it is a monthly target, you need to be looking at the sale figure once a week. That is the monitoring report, clock speed. Fulfillment report is once a month. I am giving a fulfillment report. That is a fulfillment report clock speed. This I'll call it as week, and this one would be month. And then what is the target reporting medium? How am I reporting this target? Both the monitoring and fulfilling target, how am I reporting it? Is it a logbook, SMS, dedicated app, scoreboard, dashboard, etc.? So this basically is giving the platform for you to decide your system, how you're going to work, how you're going to be making it automated. Then at what target do you do the clock speed review? That means your fulfillment report, if you are doing once a month, you can do review once a month. Or you can do once a quarter also, because in quarter you got 3 reports. You can review it. But if you are doing the fulfillment report once a month and you want to review once a week, it will not really work. It's like the major problem with the quantum physics, right? When you look at a particle so closely, the particle changes the behavior. The same thing happens here. You need not observe so closely. If you want to do it once a week, then you get the guy to do the report once a week, and then make sure that the monitoring is done once a month. So this is again common sense, which is missing in many companies. So this is what is done using this app. Then target steering routine. How do you do this? What kind of a routine do you have? Is it a daily meet, weekly meet? Where do you meet that? Then who is the owner for the rolling planning? So this detailing is done. Yeah, I think, Vivek, we'll get back to the presentation. We are out of time.
Yeah, and imagine that you do the entire report, you define the KPI targets, you do everything else. You define all those data, fill in the things along with at end of the workshop, all this report getting sent to everybody who is registered for the workshop. That is the advantage of this PEP.
So now let us now get back to last 2 slides, and then again we can have further question answers. See, this is the idea of a tentative subscription model. Okay. For example, first is visitor is free. Self-learner pays about 500 rupees per quarter, which means it is like eating breakfast every day once. Okay, it's not something intense. Then the participant who's participating in a program would have to pay 1,500 rupees per quarter through the coach, because the coach is the one who's conducting the program, marketing the and then selling the program, and he's the one who's collecting the money for the program. And the coach pays 4,500 rupees per quarter for the platform to be used, because he's doing that. While doing that, his entire follow-up, his entire data collation, data analysis, everything gets eliminated, and he's able to give a professional report to the client, automated professional report. So it brings in a lot of professionalism. So therefore, his value also would increase and his time will be saved. Therefore, we believe that the coach should be able to afford 1,500 rupees per quarter, which means 4,500 rupees per month. And he has to collect the money from the participants to conduct any program. And then the expert would have to, for the expert, it will be about 6,000 rupees per quarter. And the company admin 4,500 rupees per quarter. And in all the three cases here, 40% of the monthly accrued revenue will be proportionally shared for the content owners. So they are also getting money for their content. Okay. So I've not done any simulation here. I expect that all these three should be earning money rather than paying to the app if they really, if the entire thing becomes a thriving platform. And the participants here, whenever they recommend somebody to use this platform, we want to say 10% of the revenue will be shared for promoting in their own network. Because when somebody registers in the platform, I'll just go quickly to that. When somebody registers in the platform, there is a question here: who is your superior and mentor? If you have somebody, you can choose. Otherwise, you can say, I'll do it later. Then who is the introduction source? If somebody is already in the app, then that name can be chosen here. Otherwise, I can say it is the Prosperity doHow book, for example, or the websites or LinkedIn, whatever, you know. If the name is chosen there, that person will get 10% of whatever money you paid here will go to that person. That is the idea. And then we have got the executive who would be using the app for his normal day-to-day work, wherein the value which he gets because of this activity is phenomenal. The company gets quite a good amount of benefit because they get transparent data, like the same way what we're talking about the automation. Because the data is available, decision becomes more, making becomes more focused. So this is the idea of the tentative pricing. And finally, I have got just two more slides. What is the further development that is possible in this platform? Full stack development with better UI and UX. You must have realized that the UI and UX is not so good because it's a low-code platform. Then multi-language capability for global reach. Again, Naresh, through this can be done using Gen AI. Welcome to that. No-code platform for clients to create their own modules. You know, if you have to do some data collection, have to do some analysis, etc., they should be able to create on their own, which is not possible in today's situation. They have to come to us. Analytics with practice ranking scoreboards. Imagine a situation if in real-time basis, I'm able to show in the organization the rank, like the scoreboards which I showed you, who's doing good, who's not doing good. That would be a huge feedback for appraisals, feedback for employee motivation and engagement in the companies. Then Gen AI for intuitive suggestions and lively chat in modules. Instead of entering the data here, you can suggest and you can converse with the app. Then intuitive buddy for continual learning. This intuitive buddy can be the app itself for continual learning and development. Imagine every day you would get a simple challenge to do. And today also there are a lot of games which are doing that. But there, it's all about gamification. It's all about gaming. You know, it's not about doing anything to improve your effectiveness in your work. Imagine something like that could happen. Then it would be a fantastic contribution to the community to enhance the overall competence of the community. And how can anybody collaborate? One is become doHow users of this app, which I showed you. Become doHow coaches and experts. Create your own content for monetizing the know-how in doHow. Maintenance and development of the Zoho Creator platform. The platform which is done by me. I am the only one. I'm not a developer. I did it as a hobby during COVID, and after that it got evolved later. And the full stack development with state-of-art add-ons, which I explained earlier. Then the funds for making this full stack development and for marketing. This is again something where somebody can collaborate with us. Promotion of mentoring programs in trade associations, which could be done. promotion of doHow PEP to your networks and clients. That also is another way of collaborating. And facilitate doHow PEP and Socratic Learning TTT program. That means now whatever I've explained. I would really like that there are some 10 people who can do the same kind of an explanation, 20 people, 30 people, as train the trainer on the trainer platforms, focused on Socratic learning, where doHow PEP can be a tool. Socratic learning is the key. So with that, I come to the end of the presentation, and then go back to the last slide for asking for any Q&A, any further questions which you may have. And before that, I would like to invite Ajit for maybe in 1 or 2 minutes, tell your experience in reading the book.
Oh, it's been simply fantastic. What I loved is, it is not Nyan. It is, you mentioned a lot of incidents. There are question and answers, simple language. And what I found is, it's difficult for me to finish a page in the usual term. The only reason is, it triggers your thinking, and it puts me into a lot of reflection. There are some pages which took me a long time, because it starts connecting with me, because I worked 5 years because I wanted to be a trainer. I worked 5 years in sales, 5 years in production, 5 years in admin and training. And I found every page is so, stimulating. It is very difficult to go to the next page without getting stimulated. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ajit.
And simple language also.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Now, any question answers, any further questions? Otherwise, we thank you a lot for participating, and then look forward to hearing from you offline, online, whatever way it is, so that you can help us create this kind of a revolution and make sure that our country starts achieving the 25% share in GDP. Because it's whatever we have been doing has not really worked out, and we need a different approach.
Any feedback about today's program? Anything, whatever you would like to say.
Dinakar and Vivek?
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, just one additional point as a clarification. Mr. Naresh mentioned standard.
Yeah.
Is, for me, the word standard is more than a language barrier. It is a thinking barrier, because the word standard is loaded so much that the moment when we talk about a standard, people just get withdrawn, because the standard today for a common man, in a MSMEs, particularly the operating person, standard means you have to do it something in a particular way. Okay, as you rightly said, if you are doing for your own, nothing counts. If you're doing as a systematic for the company, then so can we make it in the sense, rather than a loaded meaning into this word, make it more simpler so that they get attracted? That's what one of the thinking which I was.
So how do you make it simpler, Harish? What is your thought on that? How do you make a standard simpler?
Maybe again a collection of thought process of those people only, okay, and bring it together and commonize that, and then, as you rightly said, they should get involved and they should get more attached to that, attracted. Then I think things starts falling in place. This is one of the thinking of mine, because the moment standard means it's a loaded word. Why I said is action. Oh, somebody has written that you have to follow it. That's it. That's the common tendency of people. The moment we say standard, that's what my feeling. I don't know, how do you interpret, or Naresh can help out, or somebody can.
No, see, it's very simple. See, when you're doing a standard today, the word standard is wrongly understood by everybody, right?
Yes.
If you are implementing an ISO system, most of the companies in India have got ISO system. Okay.
Yes.
Majority of them don't really work as per the ISO system.
Correct. Yes.
Majority. Okay.
I would say in numbers straight away, Dinakar, why majority? 90% of the people.
More than 90%. I would go to much higher than
I
that.
was moderate. I was modest in saying 90% of the people, they don't go by, they don't know what is it in it. They don't follow, they don't understand, nothing. It's simply done. That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I feel that I'll just share my screen once again and show you 2 slides, which I have got. 1 second. Two primary principles which we use whenever standards are being implemented are, first is how do you create a standard and how do you implement a standard. Okay. Now I will share my screen once again and then take a minute, that's all, to explain this. Where do I share the screen? There it is. Yeah, so you can see the screen now?
Yes.
So when you create a standard, it is important to have stakeholder involvement. It is important to make the standard integrated and coherent. It should be based on benchmarking. It should be relevant and up to date. It should be practical and achievable. It should be clear and unambiguous. It should be user-friendly and handy. It should be flexible and adaptable. It should be specific and measurable. It should be enforceable and verifiable. And in case something is not done correctly, there should be a quick closed-loop control. Then it should give you opportunity for continual improvement. These are the principles based on which the standard is done. Okay. So whenever we have worked on standards, the first thing is to really look at these principles and find out if the standard is adhering to these principles. If it is not, then review the standard. Okay. That is the first, as far as the creating of the standard is concerned. That's the exercise which I showed you, which we did with, which we keep doing with the companies. Then the next is, how do you follow the standard? There are, again, some principles, 8 principles. First is, mindset is very important. If I am supposed to be following the standard for myself, then forget it. I don't want to follow. The mindset should be that I should have a service mindset, wherein I'm trying to say that my job, which I am doing here, is for the sake of the others. When I have that mindset, then I'll follow the standard. Otherwise, I won't follow the standard. Again, there, it is important to work with the people who are supposed to follow the standard. Then people who are supposed to follow the standard should have an aspirational purpose. Otherwise, following the standard is not required at all. If I am supposed to be not aiming to win the Olympic gold, then there is no need for me to follow the standard of practicing the diet, which is prescribed by my nutrition. I don't need to really follow the standard exercise prescribed by my coach. I don't need to do that. Because I am not interested in winning the Olympic gold. And it is important to ignite that purpose in everybody. So its standard is much, much more complex. Okay. And next is involvement, right? Unless you involve people in creating the standard, it won't work. They'll simply be observers. Then you need to have a fantastic system of controlling the implementation. Unless that is done, it will not work. Then culture is extremely important. If you have a blaming culture in the organization, it won't work. You need to find out why the standard cannot be followed and then make sure that it is made simpler. And design of the standard is equally important. So today, if you ask me, Harish, it's a very, very unfortunate situation in the market. You are right. There are so many people who have created so many documents, so many standards, and 90% of that are not being followed at all. And these guys who create the standards are making sure that the standards are created and the company gets a certificate for charges which are really minuscule, 10,000, 5,000 rupees. That's because our country needs employment, right? We can say that it's a positive thing. People are employed. Now, that employment is taking us to a wrong direction. That's why I said the mentors, trainers, consultants in the market are extremely mediocre because our level of qualifying them is very, very lack. We don't really take people who are really top class as the gurus. And finally, it is important with the design is not easy. You make the design easier. Training has to be done and handholding has to be done. This is my take on standards. And I'm quite vocal and quite candid in this explanation because we have a big issue on standards in this place. This is my take on standards.
Yes, I completely agree with you.
Yeah. Sagar, you wanted to ask anything? Is there or comment something?
Hi, Dinakar. I just want to pass an observation. When Harish spoke about standard, okay, Harish rightly mentioned the percentage of 90% and above. It's true. Okay, and now here, what observation I would want to pass on is two things. One is the end client, either the OE or the tier one, they are not the ones who are following ISO or other standard for the sake of it. However, they follow, I mean, word by word, everything. Okay. However, when it comes below, they don't do regular audits. And that is something that is painful. And Dinakar, that is, according to me, a biggest pain where you, in the initial of this meetup, you mentioned that when you wanted to supply, even in your book, you mentioned in the first few pages that when you wanted to supply gold standard to the world, you are not being able to supply from India. That is because of what reason? Our OEs or the tier ones are not insisting on that reason, that standards. That is one point. The other one is the consultants who themselves are okay to compromise and provide uh, a certificate. I mean, today, 3,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees, you have a consultant who's going to do all the work and they give the ISO certificate and go. I suppose when that mindset of consultants and the OEs or the tier one is going to change, I suppose this dream of India excelling in manufacturing is going to change. That's an observation I just wanted to pass out of my experience.
Yeah, very true. See, audit is something which is very important. Also, audit is very, very important. See, when you do an audit, for somebody, it's like a reality show, okay? Now, or a music competition or a dance competition. As a judge, you get somebody who is a maestro, okay? Make him sit there. And then when somebody sings and a song, the way the singing is done is not up to the standard, that guy will not give him 10 or 11 or 9 marks. He possibly gives him 6 marks, okay? Same, if you get somebody who is a novice, who has done, let us say, junior level, and then they are supposed to be judging, and the person who sang is more or less the junior level, okay, a little below that. So there, the person possibly would get a 9-point score, because the judge is somebody who has to be very, very thorough, very, very qualified. So here, since we have got a lot of people who are not able to reach that level, the idea of the app is to basically allow those judges who are really class to be the experts in defining the content, and allow those who are not top class but are equally interested in contributing to the development, allow them to be the mentors and coaches. They're basically using somebody's content and delivering it in an exceptional way, using the structured methodology. So that's a solution which I feel could solve the problem.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. So thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Thank
Any
you,
other
Sagar.
reactions or any other things you would like to express before we close?
Yeah, I mean, really, a really good one, Dinakar. I mean, I think we should meet in person and take it forward to selected industries. I believe it will work in selected industries, and that's what we should really target.
Sure,
Thanks.
sure, absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Anybody else would like to say anything before we close? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Viksit Bharat.
Thank you.
Bye.
I think Viksit Bharat, this base, if we are able to implement, as somebody said, starting with companies who are interested, that is how we should start it, because somewhere down, it is very difficult to implement all these wonderful things unless the involvement is very high. And once the involvement is there and a few companies show the impact, then everybody will follow it, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
All the best.
for your
Bye-bye.
participation and your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I'm sure it was productive.
Thank you.
Thank you.